Welcome again to the non-dual lectionary. And for this week, the fifth Sunday of Easter in year C, we've got another, I think, a good one, again from the Gospel of John. And John, in particular, I think a lot of people seem to share this recognition that, John writes the most, I think, of understanding Jesus as someone who is an awakened being that's communicating that and living that in the world. And so we get some really good nuggets in the Gospel of John. Uh, so John 13, verses 31 through 35. When he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and will glorify him at once. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another." And just, I mean, we could spend a long time on it, almost every sentence of this, but I'll just say a few quick things. The first is those first two. I'm going to do it in actually three parts. So the first is those first two sentences. The Son of Man has been glorified. God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and will glorify him at once. It's a mouthful, but look at the inner relation, right? And if again, if you see this as Jesus speaking from his true self, his recognition of no self, but instead that unity with all, or as an expression of all, um, then you can just see that inner weaving, that inner penetration here, right? And again, in the context of the Hebrew scriptures, right? The Son of Man, Jesus here, right? Not Son of God, too. That's pretty important, right? This human being as an expression of the universe, as an expression of everything, as an expression of the divine in my, Jesus' understanding of the Hebrew scriptures. I'm glorified because of the expression that I'm giving to the universe, and God is glorified in that, and God glorifies himself in that, and it's all one expression, right? But not as a simplistic one, right? Just oneness by itself, right? Like everything's the same or everything's, that can be um, that kind of hippie statement of this, the kind of watered down because it's not a true recognition. But these complex, I'm giving my best expression of it as I can. All right, I love that by itself. But then the next one, little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me. And as I said, where I am going, you cannot come. Oh, what does that mean? Okay, the traditional view would be something like, well, Jesus is the unique, the divine Son of God, and so he's just telling them again, I'm unique, I'm going off by myself, you can't come there. Or, right, where I am going, I is my true self, I is the non-dual recognition, right? I is as beyond the personality, or not beyond, right? But not just the personality, right? The pure expression of being, or the pure expression of the universe in action here. Where I'm going, you a personality can't come. Jim Finley has this beautiful metaphor that he uses in a series of talks, I don't know, from 15 or 20 years ago now, of following God through the narrow gates and that passing back and forth. So this kind of, I read it as like a series of awakening experiences, and but the gates get narrower in a sense. And so ultimately, nothing, um, nothing other than pure expression of love, or a pure, expression of God Himself, or in less theistic terms, right? Nothing that isn't nothing that I identify as myself, right? It's all got to die. It's all got to go away, um, for the sort of true nature to fully wake up, to fully express itself. And so where I'm going, where true nature is going, you a personality can't come. I think that's just a beautiful little statement there. Um, and then I give you a new commandment that you love one another just as I have loved you, you also should love another, and that's how you'll know, if you have love for one another. Again, my disciples, again, I'm going to take as an express, not me as a personality, right? And here, what I think we see is, and I think I've said this before, what I think we get a little bit, at least more emphasis, if not entirely uniquely, in the Jesus story, in the Christian context, is this emphasis on awakening and non-dual recognition as an expression of love. And I mean, I've heard, teachers talk about the kind of flavors that awakening can bring, or that true nature can bring, and I've had that experience myself too. So, for example, I've had it, and I know others, an awakening experience that kind of comes through. For me, it came through as just like hilarity, but it's something like joy. It's something like the joyous absurdity of the human experience of being the universe as a human. Okay. Um, I've had another experience where it's almost the meaninglessness, like there's almost a nihilism, right? That like there's nothing on the other side in a way. Um, and I've heard teachers talk about that. Like some people get that as a really full download and as like the only part of the waking up they get for a while, and it can really send them in a state, right? Ultimately, all of these, right? Everything has to be an expression, so all those flavors are there. But I think what we see in the Jesus story and in this context is, Jesus's waking up experience really gets the love of everything, and that's not unique either in the sense of, you will read people's stories of their own waking up experience, and then even manifesting that non-dual recognition and really getting a sense of like, oh, like I am love. That's my true nature, actually, or the true nature of the universe. The non-separation between the two is fundamentally love. Like the universe is stitched as love. Um, and then and not romantic love, although that can be a part of it too, right? But just like the embrace of all, the like, mm, yeah, I mean that's as good, the embrace of all, right? The compassion of all, but not dumb compassion, right? But like the love of everything. The tears that get shed for the heartbreak of everything is also a love of that. Um, and so then that can get filtered down, right, through a personality as what we understand as the normal expressions of love. Um, and I think, Jesus sees that both then. I think it's clear from this passage, but also from the larger context, is that Jesus sees that both as um, a true and fundamental expression of true nature, right? That he's encouraging in a sense, that he's living it as an exemplar and passing on, but also as a path in itself, right? Like the path of love, that love fundamentally in the end, taken into its end, leads to the breakdown of the personality because the personality cannot fully love, right? My small self cannot love all. It's not possible. But in that attempt, in the failing of that attempt, it is possible that love, that my true nature, that I can live as love, just not the I thought I was. And so it's again both like expression in the end, like full and path to get there. Um, so again, I mean, the Gospel of John, but here's just a beautiful five verses, just some great nuggets in there, and fundamentally, again, through that non-dual recognition of like the universe as love, what Jesus is telling, as a commandment, as a path, but also in the end is fundamentally just, hey, this is what is. Like see it, live it, and and trying to live it, right, is a path to seeing it and living it.